the best advantage with SAP UI5 technology is if you develop an application by using SAP UI5, it automatically adapts to the various device sizes like desktop, tablet, mobile, or any other device as well. So that means if you develop once, the same application can run anywhere. It can run on desktop, it can run on tablet, it can run on mobile or any other device as well. So that is the biggest advantage of SAP UI5. So that is a tagline like develop once, run anywhere. Okay. So just to introduce, what are the previous technologies before SAP UI5 came into the market? So two of these technologies I already told as a part of my experience, WebDynPro Java, WebDynPro ABAP. So even prior to WebDynPro Java, there is a technology called BSP. Even I did not work on this, but anyway, some of you might be knowing this WebDynPro ABAP, right? Most of you may not know this WebDynPro Java because this is older technology. Yeah. Anyway, this is just to give an introduction about the previous technologies. Now, what are the disadvantages of the previous technologies because of which SAP has developed this new technology called SAP UI5? There are many disadvantages, but I am highlighting only the major disadvantages here. The first one, very slow in performance. So even today, there are some clients who are using WebDynPro applications. So if you go and open WebDynPro applications, you will find very much slow while it is loading the data or while navigating from one page to other page. So you will find slowness. And they support only desktop. WebDynPro applications you cannot run from tablet and mobile. Very poor look and feel. My personal opinion on WebDynPro applications is I still feel like when I open a WebDynPro application, I feel as if I opened a GUI program or GUI any screen. And moreover, only white and blue colors are possible, guys. No other colors are possible. Now the reverse of them are nothing but the advantages of SAP UI5. So SAP understand the disadvantages of the previous technologies, and to fulfill them, SAP brought this SAP UI5. And obviously, the performance of SAP UI5 applications is very fast. It supports all the devices, very rich look and feel. Not only white and blue colors, you can apply any colors, for that matter, any theme you can apply. Sometime back, you might have seen in this particular Fiori launchpad, so I applied another theme, so another color combination basically, right? So you might have seen Amazon Gold, which, so you can see the complete color combination, everything has changed. So even if I click this one, so completely it was gone, right? So similarly, you can apply various themes. Some are provided by SAP, some are provided by, some are created by the developers. So for example, red. See, the color combination has changed. So like this, so you can just change all the colors on the fly by creating your own custom theme and applying that theme to the entire launchpad so that when you go to any application, it looks the same. It appears in the same way, does not matter in which application you navigate. Okay, so that's basically this particular point. Any colors are possible. You can make your application always colorful. Now let's move on to the next important topic, and that is so till now we have seen these points. Now I can say the heart of this demo is these three topics: MVC architecture of SAP UI5, then front end to the back end and back end to the front end data flow. So how the data will flow from front-end SAP UI5 application to the back-end database tables and vice versa. And the last one is a difference between SAP UI5 and Fiori. So let us start with the MVC architecture of SAP UI5. SAP UI5 is based on the famous architecture called MVC architecture. Some of you might have heard about this architecture and some of you might not. So let us understand what is this MVC architecture. The M stands for the model, V stands for the view, and C stands for the controller layers. So the MVC architecture contains these three layers: view layer, controller layer, and model layer. Each layer has its own importance, its own purpose. So as a developer, we need to understand the purpose of each layer. In the view layer, we write the code for screen designing only. Apart from the screen designing code, we don't write any other code in the view layer. So view layer is dedicated to write the code for the screen designing. If some of you might be wondering what is this code for the screen designing, so let me explain. For example, this is employee management application which you will develop as a part of this training. So this is completely real-time standards we have maintained. So this application is inspired by real-time requirements, what I got in my projects. So I kept those things in this training. Right. So here you can see the screen designing here, like, so all the labels are properly aligned, all the input fields, date pickers, everything is properly aligned. The table is aligned properly, the buttons are aligned properly, right? So this is called the screen designing. This is called screen designing. So this particular code for the screen designing will be written in the view layer. Okay. Next, controller layer. So in the controller layer, we write the code for entire functionality of the screen. Now, what do you mean by functionality of the screen? For example, if this is the view, now I am entering employee ID as 100001. Okay, and I click on the go button. Now you can see the table got filtered and we got only this particular 100001. We did not get any other record. When I click on the reset, you can see this entered value is gone and the table is bringing all the data. Now, is this not a functionality of the screen? Yes. So similarly, for example, I am sorting based on the salary, okay, descending order. Now when I click on the go button, so for example, salary is this side here. So when I click on the go button, so you can see this particular salary is sorted based on the descending order, 30 lakhs at the top and at the bottom 5 lakhs. Okay, so is this not the functionality of the screen? Right. So the entire code to achieve this particular functionality will be written inside the controller layer. Okay, the functionality of the screen will be written inside the controller layer. Next one, model layer. The model layer basically deals with data and data manipulations. So nothing but CRUD operations, CRUD queue operations. So take any web application, ultimately it contains CRUD queue operations. What do you mean by CRUD queue operations? Creating record, reading the record, updating the records, deleting the records, querying the records. Querying means reading multiple records is nothing but querying. Applying filters, sorting and all is nothing but querying. So read and query both are same actually, but the difference is the read operation can read a single record, but the query operation can read multiple records, and you can also apply the filters, the sorting, all these things you can apply in the query operation. Anyway, so basically any web application contains these CRUD operations, CRUD queue operations in SAP UI5. So these business logic you need to write in the backend, and you also do some data manipulation in the front end as well. So this particular model layer, so model layer deals with the data and data manipulation. Obviously, the main data manipulation, nothing but CRUD operations, they are done in the backend. So the model layer is present in the backend as well. And the model layer is always present in the front end also, because in the front end also you will perform some data manipulations, isn't it? Yes. So the model layer basically means dealing with the data and data manipulations. So since we do this data manipulations majorly in the backend, and also we do some part of the data manipulation even at the front end, so that model layer exists both in front end and back end. But the view and controller layers, they are purely front end layers. So view, controller, they present only at the front end. Okay, right. Having said that, there is a important relationship between the view and controller, and the relationship is 1:1 relationship. What do you mean by 1:1 relationship? 1:1 relationship means every view will have its own controller. View means web page. If I have two views, two controllers will be there. If I have four views, four controllers will be there. If I have 10 views, 10 controllers will be there. So basically every view will have its own controller. Okay. Now what is the advantage if you have a separate controller for each view? There is a biggest advantage. So let's say this is my view 1. Okay. Now the entire functionality of the view 1 is written inside the view 1 controller. View 1 controller. So if tomorrow, if something goes wrong or if something not working properly in the view 1, I can check only view 1 controller. I no need to check any other file, right? So the troubleshooting, issue solving will be very, very easy in case of this particular 1:1 relationship. That is the reason SAP UI5 framework has given this 1:1 relationship between view and controllers. Now this is view 2. So entire coding, entire functionality of this view 2 will be written inside view 2 controller. So if anything goes wrong in the view 2, I can search only this view 2 controller. Okay, so that is the reason SAP has cleanly separated the controllers for each and every view by keeping 1:1 relationship. So this 1:1 relationship is an interview question, as well as I find this question in the SAP Fiori certification as well. Okay, right. So this is the MVC architecture. The next topic is front end to back end and back end to the front end data flow. So first of all, let me explain what is front end to back end data flow and then back end to front end data flow. If you see this particular web application, which is employee management application. So here, when I open the application, backend data is coming and it is displaying here. What is this? This is backend database table to the front end UI data flow. All these employees exist in a backend database table called Z employee table. Okay. So from that particular table, the data has reached in the front end, right? So similarly, let me create an employee. So click on create employee. For example, 300002. I will take one of your name here. Maybe, for example, Babji. So designation as team lead, for example. fill as ABAP, email babji@gmail.com, phone number, one more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Salary, for example, team lead, right? So we can keep some 15 lakhs. So date of joining. So let me give the date of joining. 1 second. I think the screen got stuck. Yeah. So I have given something. By the way, so we have given the facility to add the projects of this employee as well, the project experience. So if you want to do it, you can do it, otherwise you can do it later. So let me just do, anyway, I need to show this application to you at the end. So client, I'm just giving some XYZ. So is that client project name, I'm giving it as some sample project one. Okay, so description also I'm giving something. So it's a dynamic table, guys. You can add as many projects as you want. So like line items, basically, it's a line item table. Okay, so I'm saving it, and you can see employee data saved successfully. So what is this? This is front end to back end data flow. So if I go back, I can find Babji here. So you can see Babji and his details. You can see in the second page. See the line item data also. I can see line item data is nothing but project data here. This employee's projects information. So it can be one project, it can be 10 projects. Okay, right. So I will explain this project again. So this you will develop as a part of the training. So what is this one? This is front end to the back end data flow. So how this particular data has flown from front end to the back end, and how the data has flown from back end to the front end into this table. So to understand this, so we need to understand this particular topic, front end to back end data flow and vice versa. So here I'm taking the same example. So let us take, this is a web application. This is a web page with a simple 3 fields, employee ID, name and skill. If you enter the values and click on submit button, so this data should be saved in a backend database table called some employee table. So how this happens and what are the steps involved in the development of this application. And even before that, I want to introduce you the bare minimum systems, that are involved in any SAP UI5 project you go. Okay. So when you go to SAP UI5 projects, you will realize that there are minimum 2 systems. One is your SAP backend system, so which is your SAP business suite. This can be SAP ECC system, or nowadays most of the clients has upgraded to SAP S4HANA systems. So this can be S4HANA system, this can be SAP CRM system, this can be any other system as well. Okay, and those people who are not from SAP background, you can assume this particular system as any database system that you know. So this system contains the database tables. You can create the database tables, function modules, or any business logic on top of that particular tables. Okay. In addition to the backend system, you will also find an extra system, and that is called SAP Gateway System. Now this is the biggest question for all the people who are first of all coming to SAP UI5. What is the need of this extra system, SAP Gateway System? What is the need? There are 2 reasons why SAP Gateway System is needed. Reason number 1, your front-end SAP UI5 is a JavaScript and HTML5 based framework. Okay, so this particular JavaScript based framework cannot communicate directly with the ABAP logic that you write in your backend. So the direct communication from JavaScript to this backend ABAP layer is not possible. So when the direct communication is not possible, obviously you need to give some indirect way of communication, correct? So SAP UI5 will not talk directly to the backend logic, but SAP UI5 will talk to the, if your business logic will be exposed. You will write the business logic in the backend, and that business logic will be exposed as a OData service, and UI5 will talk to the OData service. UI5 will not talk to the backend logic directly. Okay? Why? Because no direct communication possible. For example, I went to Tamil Nadu, so let's assume they know only Tamil. Okay, they cannot understand any other language. And let's assume I know only Telugu. So can we both communicate each other directly? No. So we need a mediator who can translate my Telugu into Tamil for him and who can translate his Tamil into Telugu for me. Isn't it? So same way here. So this backend layer is written in ABAP and the front end is JavaScript. So both are two different frameworks. So the direct communication not possible. So what is the solution SAP has given is, you go to the backend system, you implement the CRUD operations in your ABAP language, okay, by creating, so we create something called OData project. So this OData project is created in a T code called SEGW in the backend system. So I will log in to the backend system. By logging into the backend system, I will go to the T code SEGW. In the SEGW OData project, so in the SEGW, we create a OData project. Now, within the OData project, you have the facility to implement the CRUD operation on each and every table. Okay, so you will implement your business logic of CRUD queue operations, and then this OData project generates something called OData service. Now, this OData service you will deploy in the SAP gateway system. Now, SAP UI5 is a framework which can communicate easily with the OData service. Now, OData service acts like an entry point. OData service acts like an entry point to the business logic that we have written in the backend. So, any request that is coming from the UI5, so first it goes to the OData service, because OData service is an entry point, and from the OData service it goes to the backend and execute the appropriate logic. Now, this is first reason. Now, second reason why this SAP gateway system is present. We know that any web application need to be deployed in a web server. For example, take facebook.com. Facebook.com is a web application. Is it not deployed into a web server? Take amazon.com. Is it not deployed into a web server? So any web application needs a web server, correct? So for SAP UI5 application, when you develop, so where do you deploy? That application need to be deployed in a web server, correct? So you will deploy into the SAP gateway system. So this acts like a web server for your SAP UI5 application. Okay, this is the second reason. Right. Now let us see step by step how this particular application will be developed in the real time. Step number 1. You will create a SAP UI5 project by using the tools like SAP Web ID or Business Application Studio. We'll talk about the tools in tomorrow's class, but as of now, just understand that the step number 1 is to create a UI5 project. Step number 2, we develop the screens and any validations on top of it. Step number 3, we create the necessary table or tables. Step number 4, we go to the backend and we'll go to the T code SEGW and create OData project. And inside the OData project, we implement the business logic for the credit queue operations. So this we already discussed. Now step number 5, by the way, OData project outcome is a OData service that you will keep it here in the SAP gateway system. Now step number 5 is for any functionality like CRUD operations, the UI5 will call this OData service. UI5 will call the OData service, and while calling the OData service, it will send the required data as well as the operation name. It will receive the request, and by looking at the request, it observes which operation it is. Yeah, it is a create operation, so it redirects the execution to the create operation by sending this data as well. So we already written the logic inside the create operation in such a way to receive this data and then insert the data into the appropriate tables. Now same thing happens in reverse as well. For example, I want entire table data to the front end. Then from the front end SAP UI5, I will call the query operation or read operation. So when I call the read or query operation, then the OData service will redirect the execution to the read or query operation. So we might have already written the logic like select star from the table. So the entire data will come and pass in the same reverse direction to the front end SAP UI5. This is how the data will flow from front end to the back end and vice versa in entire SAP UI5 Fiori applications. Right. So with this, we have done with this topic, and the next topic is the difference between SAP UI5 and Fiori.